So a lot of times when we do a roof replacement, a homeowner will come outside and they notice there's some silver that's butting up against the siding of the house and on the where the shingles up where they match up or join. And so this is kind of video to kind of help you understand what's going on there and why you're seeing that and kind of what we do to kind of help hide or hide that flashing that you're seeing that's actually silver. So on this particular house, this is there's counter flashing and then there's step flashing. And normally the counter flashing is painted to match the fascia of the house. And then when they paint that, what happens, the guys who paint, they actually paint the step flashing, so you never see the step flashing. But when we go to replace the roof, when we tear the roof off and replace the step flashing, well, the step flashing comes in aluminum that's silver. And so if you don't paint that prior to putting the shingles over it, you have to go back and redo it, which takes more time. But typically, if you can paint the step flashing before you even install it, you never notice it and the customer never sees it. And it's just an easier way to do it. But in most cases, most roofers just put the step flashing in, shove the shingles up against it, and move on and don't care. But on a very particular homeowner, they may come outside and they may say, "Why is there a a silver strip running up beside the house?" And the reason why that's there is because they're seeing the exposed step flashing. Because typically there's a 1 to 2 inch gap between the counter flashing and the roof, and now their eye is catching the silver flashing. But sometimes the shingles can hide. But anyways, this is the makeup of a roof when we tear it apart. So you have the original counter flashing, like I said, which is typically painted and match the fascia. And then you have step flashing, which is behind it, which is typically silver, but gets painted sometimes when homeowners, or house is being built. But underneath that, you also have underlayment or tar paper that goes over it as well. These are all the things that are under a shingle. Now, most houses don't have this new construction. They don't do it. But we always install what's called ice and water shield up under the counter flashing. So it's just another added layer of protection for a home. So when the water's running off and it's hitting the side of the house, it's not getting into the siding of the house and causing additional damage. So this is just one of those things that we do, or this should be done when you're replacing your roof. And so you can see in this picture right here, there's the counter flashing, there's a step flashing. You can see it, how it's all going kind of up the side of the house. And this is what step flashing looks like. As you can tell, you may have see this around your chimney, and that's what it looks like. And you can see how it's kind of layered on top of that. But it's just a piece of metal flashing, right angle flashing that goes up along the side of the structure and on top or overlapped on top of the shingles as you're reinstalling new shingles. But like I said, this is one of those things that you sometimes you'll see it, and you'll see here in this picture, there's a little bit of a gap right there where the shingle butts up against the side of the house, but it's actually butting up against the counter flashing so that water can't intrude into the walls. So, but these kind of things can, annoy or confuse a homeowner to why they're seeing it. But once again, you can see in this picture here that the shingles lay down, the counter flashing goes on top. They lay a shingle on top of the counter flashing. They put a new piece of counter flashing, and they keep alternating, laying the counter flashing, laying a shingle, the counter flashing, laying a shingle. And it's just providing that barrier protection so that the water is just running off the roof. It's not damaging the siding of the house. So once again, you can see it there. And this is a good example of why they're seeing silver, because as you can see it as it's going up the side of the wall, well, there's going to be a small strip of silver because it's made of aluminum they're going to see. So you have to paint that either prior to putting the shingles on or do it after. I think personally it's a lot more work and a waste of time. If you just paint them on the ground, you don't have to paint the entire thing. You just need to paint the middle section of the counter flashing, and then you're done, because you'll never see it once it's up behind the counter flashing or under the shingle. You're just going to see that small strip. So you just need about a 2-inch strip of paint to line the bend in the counter flashing, and you'll be okay. And then here's another good picture. This is a gap that you can see, and that gap is where homeowners are seeing that silver because now you have new kind of step flashing in there, and it's not painted, and it's not matching the counter flashing that's just above it in most cases. So yes, you can go back and redo it, but then you run the chance the guy is spraying paint on on the brand new shingles or spraying on the siding, and just there's just more of a possibility of causing more of a more work, and you don't have to do that. If you just spray them on the ground, then you don't have to worry about it. It's done. You put the shingles on, and you move on. You never have to go back and address it, and the homeowner doesn't see it as well. So that's kind of how the best way to handle step flashing and homeowners seeing it and questioning you about what it is and why it's there. If you just take that precaution and just spray that right there in the middle where it makes a 90, when you install it, then the guys can put the shingles on top of it. It goes up underneath the counter flashing, and you never see it, or it blends in really well, and it just saves you whole nother step, and it saves you from having to explain to a homeowner why it's there now when they think it wasn't there before, when it actually was. It was just painted and they didn't notice it. So